We feel like it is very important for us to be able to navigate this world. Since nobody took a class, can we as the church inform this digital space with some type of handles built on the truth, these principles for how we govern ourselves, how we have this etiquette online or whatever that still allows us to follow Jesus. But it's this idea that we all live in this world, whether we like it or not, whether we complain about it or not, whether we agree with it or not, we are all involved in some way, shape, or form, and we're all influenced by.
Welcome to Let's Talk About That, the podcast where we dive into conversations about life and share stories of faith. We're thrilled to be on this journey with you. Whether you're a longtime listener, someone who calls the Orchard home, or you're just stopping by, Let's Talk About That is your space to explore, reflect, and connect. Join us as we navigate the intricacies of faith, spiritual formation, and daily life as we invite guests to share their stories with us. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfortable space, and let's do this together. This is Let's Talk About That, where you can be encouraged and inspired by God's work in our lives.
All right, we're back. Let's talk about that post-Easter edition. I have my friends Matt and Mary Beth here with us today. So we're excited to dive into a different conversation. We've been doing a lot of stories lately and kind of hearing people's backgrounds. But today, it's just us. It's me, it's Matt, it's Mary Beth. We're just going to kind of catch up on things and talk about the next series and where we're headed at the Orchard. So, like I said, Easter, post-Easter, how you guys feeling? Are you alive still? I mean, Easter takes a lot out of you.
I feel like this time of the year is just a grind, anyway. I used to do student ministry, and so I tell people all the time in student ministry, in the fall you have Halloween is kind of a break, it's different. And then you have Thanksgiving break, you get a week out of school. Then you have Christmas break, and it's like there's a lot of interruptions, and so it doesn't feel that long from the start of school to Christmas break. But you come back from Christmas break, and it's like, hey, for 5 straight months, we're getting after it, minus this 1 week out of the year that we call spring break. And I don't know, it feels like...
You guys just had your spring break in Swanee, right?
Yeah, like the week before Easter.
Yeah.
And so that's a long, 4 months uninterrupted. So I guess it just feels like it. It's also the back half of like student ministry or, things that are somewhat seasonal.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think it just feels like...
already feels like it happened like 5 months.
That's what I was going to say. Ours was so long ago, or at least it feels like it was. It's just kind of like, man, I could use another one.
Yeah.
I think it's just in ministry, this feels like kind of the gauntlet season. I've been watching
for sure
The Clubhouse, which is the Red Sox documentary on Netflix, and they talk about the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
It gets hot, and you're 100 games into the season, all that stuff, and it's easy to kind of roll through the motions. And then, a lot goes into Easter, especially like from our side, it's a big deal. Just a lot of moving parts. You throw baptisms on top of that, you're lining that up. You have, a third service at some of our locations, so you're lining up volunteers, just a lot. And then it's like almost like the post-Easter crash.
Well, it's been a stretch, and we're not quite done with it, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
It started for us where it was a hiring frenzy. So we're in a season of hiring. We hired Desi and Paul to be interns, residents here at our Lake City location. And our Brantford location, we hired Robert Brado, who's coming from pastoring a church in Missouri back home for him and his family to Brantford to help out Pastor Eddie. And that was like a sprint getting through all that. And then we went straight from that to Palm Sunday, rolling out Impact Tomorrow and everything that came with Impact Tomorrow, which, by the way, we have not talked about Impact Tomorrow on the podcast yet, and we're going to be dedicating a podcast to that soon. But how awesome was the book that Chris and Jules put together?
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, just
phenomenal.
I know when you unveiled it to us, it was like, man, this is great. And I would take it home and I just find myself flipping through it, because, and we said this yesterday when we talked to them personally, just visually it's appealing. The layout was great. I thought they did a great job mixing different backgrounds and colors and fonts and telling stories and all that stuff. But then you get into the nitty gritty of it and you start reading, and it's like, I told our location on Sunday, I was like, what I love about the Impact Tomorrow book magazine, we've debated on where we're going to settle on that, but journal. But what I love about it is it's really a portrayal, both visually and through writing and stories and articles of like who we are as a church, but it highlights the people of the Orchard. Yeah. It's not, hey, here's a whole article on the staff of the Orchard. It's no, this is the people. That's right. This is what makes the Orchard what it is. So I thought it was great.
Do anything for the magazine. All that stuff was already happening, had already happened. Magazine, book, pictorial, journal, print edition, whatever. That just highlighted it, and that was awesome. And I'm looking forward to more of that to come, and more of that conversation around Impact Tomorrow coming up. But went from Impact Tomorrow to Easter. Pretty incredible Sunday at the Orchard. It was the largest attended Sunday in the history of the Orchard. Everybody settle down, right? That's not that big of a deal. But no, it was really cool. Had a little over 1,700 people show up. And what I love about that is, though the second service in Lake City and Live Oak were both slam full.
Yeah.
Just full. At the same time, you never felt like you were in a mega church.
No.
Because the way we set up in locations. And so you got 3 services for Matt and I at Easter, 2 for Eddie and Branford, pushing through that. Now we've got this week where we're kind of getting everything back together. Next week, we leave for Orange Conference for the week. And then when we get back from Orange Conference, we have baby dedication on Star Wars Day.
Yes.
Yeah. May the 4th, baby.
May the 4th. And, is there any Star Wars theme going on with baby dedication, Mary Beth?
There's not.
I mean, Baby Grogu, Mandalorian. I mean, there's just a lot that we have there.
I couldn't do it.
No. I don't know.
I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so.
That's so disappointing, guys. It's fine. We'll have the Revenge of the Sith the next day. Revenge of the Sith. Get it? But no, it really has been a stretch. So let me ask you this. Did you guys get a nap on Easter?
I took the best nap.
Did you?
Yes. And it wasn't even until like late because we did.
So you went to bed early?
Kind of. I went to bed twice.
Went to bed twice?
We did a late lunch at my sister's house. So I went straight from church, home, changed clothes, went straight to her house. And so we didn't get home until, 3:30, 4 o'clock. And man, I crashed out on the couch. We had made tentative plans to meet back up at the pond for the kids to swim and play, and I missed the text message. I missed everything.
It's gone.
Yeah, I was done.
Which, by the way, Mary Beth, your kids aren't teenagers yet. Yeah, I'm a step ahead of you. You're a little bit of a step ahead of Matt. Crashed out means they lost their mind, apparently. Because I heard a story of a student from Haddon School who crashed out yesterday, and I was like, yeah, they were like, yeah, she just went nuts. I was like, oh, that's what crash out means. Okay.
Well,
so I'm about to crash out on somebody,
I didn't do that.
I took a nap.
Yeah.
What about you, Benny?
I did. Our family plans and things, Kelly's family is real good about usually doing it a day before the actual holiday. Like on Christmas, maybe it's the day before, the weekend before, something like that. So really, Easter itself was fairly uneventful from hey, we have to do this and go here and go here. So yeah, I got home, I ate lunch, and I woke up and I texted my buddies. They're like, "Hey, did y'all take a nap?" And I was like, "I was on another planet."
Yeah.
One of those naps.
It wasn't the best nap of my life, but for those hour and a half, 2 hours, I didn't know where I was.
Yeah,
and I was perfectly fine with that.
There's those naps where you don't know where you are, when you are, who you are.
Yeah,
you just wake up disoriented. Those are the best. Mm-hmm. I almost took a nap, but it's probably a good thing I didn't because I was on I-10.
Yeah.
It's not great. No, we tore out of here after the last service and actually left Paul and Mary Beth and the camps happened to lock up because we were already told we were running late, and so we hit the road.
Does that mean you went over?
No, it means that apparently they think
just checking.
Lunch at 1 is doable when I have church in Lake City that starts at 11 and we're have to drive to Austin.
Yeah, you should be done by then.
Yeah. Hey, 55 minutes on the dot in every service. I'm just saying. Did you hear that, Matt? 55 minutes. I think that we got there and it was fine. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive. Got there, it's fine. Ate lunch. Everybody did the egg hunt. Everybody starts sitting around while the kids are playing, starting to get nappish. Everybody's ready to go. We load up, hit the road, stop by the gas station. Let me just get a cold drink, right? By the way, Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Blackberry. 6.5 out of 10. It's okay. It's okay.
Can't say I've ever had it.
It was different.
If I went to the grocery store with this whole wall full of options, Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Blackberry is probably not even in my top 10 of even looking at.
It's not going to be in my top 10 moving forward. Yeah. However, the Zero Sugar cream sodas, cream soda Dr. Peppers, those are oh my gosh, Mary Beth.
If I go to the grocery store or the gas station and I'm like, hey, I'm on a trip or whatever, I need a little pick me up. Like there's a 95% chance I'm coming out with the cream soda.
Yeah, the cream soda.
I don't think I've ever had one.
You know the cream soda Dr. Peppers? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about straight cream soda. And if you get a real gas station, they have it, the IBC, the glass bottle, forget about it.
Look, I'm telling you, when we get done, we will walk across the road to the gas station and go get a Dr. Pepper cream soda.
Okay.
It is the best soda that has come out in years.
Really?
Yes. So good. Okay. So good.
I'm not coming out with a bottled soda, though. I'm coming out with a fountain drink.
Really? You're a person?
Yeah.
She looks like a smart water kind of person.
Absolutely not. I'm not a water person.
It's like this obnoxiously large bottle to let everybody know who sees you how healthy you are. That kind of water.
I had a friend who had the water bottle, and they just were always drinking this one brand of fancy. I'm like, bro, how much money do you spend on that water? He's like, I just keep refilling the bottle. That's like,
because he liked the bottle, or just like the way it looks?
It's a status symbol.
Yeah.
It's a flex.
Was it the Voss waters?
Maybe. It was the blue top one, I think.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
I don't either. But, back to my fat kid roots, cream soda, Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
My treat after we get done before the podcast. Leave the gas station, hop on I-10, heading back. How far do you think we made it down I-10 before every other parker in the car was asleep?
Yeah, I'm going to go a solid 5 minutes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you guys know this about me. If you're listening to this, make this a prayer request for your pastor. But, man, I fall asleep driving like a boss. Like there's one time in between Mayo and Branford, we were living in Mayo, and I went to Branford to the China House to get dinner. And by the way, Branford China House, shout out. That place is legit.
Huh.
Yeah. Worth the drive.
There's not a lot of Chinese places I've been to that have not been like, hey, this is exactly what I expected. I don't know if it's the best thing I've ever had, but what I love about Chinese places is like this was my expectation and you met it every single time.
No, I love Branford China House. So we went there on the way back. I woke up in the ditch in between the places. I didn't hit anybody, didn't kill anybody. So it's a struggle. Like I know that. So I lock in, blast the air. I'm listening to a book, but it was a struggle. So I didn't get a nap on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
And
you almost did.
I'm glad I didn't get a nap. So, after Easter though, this week has been fun because ChatGPT has taken over the world.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't know if you guys saw the trend about what would my dog or pet look like as a person.
I did not see that.
I did see that.
See that?
Yes, and I did do that. Yeah.
Did you? All right, I did that too. Let me show you guys.
I was really disappointed in mine.
Really? So I thought this was interesting. I don't know if either.
So is this the free version? So the AI images on ChatGPT, is that the free version or is that the paid one?
So I'm showing them a picture of my dog Nova, our lab. I'll have Chris put it in the show notes for us. But the picture that it came up with was pretty, interesting because she's a female. She's not very old. We got her right before COVID, so she's 5 years old now. And this is the picture that ChatGPT came up with our teenage dog.
Aw.
It's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's like,
I've never imagined what a dog would look like.
So I was disappointed.
All right, so hold on though. Wait, I got to show you this before we go because this is my dad's dogs. He has 2 French bulldogs, an older male, younger female. And this is one of the pictures that, I'll show you 2 because ChatGPT did 2. And the first one was hilarious. And I don't think I could send it to my dad first. So I sent him another one to make him feel better about his dogs first. But then I sent him this one. This was the original one.
Oh my word.
Let me see. We'll put these in the show notes if we can figure out a way. They're
okay. So that I can see that. The French bulldog's got the little scrunched up seconds.
I was disappointed in mine because it gave my person. I know. It gave my person dog ears. It left the dog ears on the person.
You got to say your dog would be a furry.
Maybe. I don't know.
And we have digressed.
Yeah.
All right. So ChatGPT also hit after Easter with the roast my family Easter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So did you guys do that?
I didn't.
You did?
No, because I have the free version of ChatGPT, and apparently I've uploaded too many pictures and have to wait till tomorrow at 4:30.
All right, fair enough. So you did it, Matt?
I did, but it was just okay. You know, I didn't really like play around with it, modify the prompt. I don't know if there was a specific prompt. I think I saw one that like people were copying, pasting, like was kind of specific or whatever. But I will say, like, everyone on my social media stuff was doing it, and I read through them, and I thought a lot of them were hilarious.
So that they were hilarious. They were spot on, but I got to tell on myself because my buddy in Branford, shout out to my boy, my brother, Jeffrey Barnes, sent me a picture where, you know, the infamous Impact Tomorrow video we shot at my desk where everybody thinks that my hot sauce collection is now a bourbon bottle?
Yes.
He screenshotted that, put it in ChatGPT and said, roast my preacher. And this is what he came up with. He said, he said, you done messed up. Let's roast this PowerPoint preaching, bookshelf flexing, moonshine decor having man of God. Said, let's start with that polo. Impact Tomorrow. Sir, that shirt says you're trying to inspire a generation and sell insurance in the same breath. Said the bookshelf behind him, we've got theology, Greek grammar, and ... Is that a bottle of moonshine with a triple X on the label? I guess nothing says exegete the gospel like bootleg backwoods whiskey ambiance. Jesus turned water into wine, but this man looks like he turned sermon notes into NASCAR tailgate energy.
That's hilarious.
That's spot on. This one says, family photos, precious. But you know he angled that bottle of moonshine just right to make sure the congregation knows I may preach the word, but I also own a smoker and 2 Yetis. And then, I appreciate this. It said glasses on point, beard shaped up like he's on the church finance committee, and moonlights as a podcast. So shout out to ChatGPT.
Spot on.
AI taking over the world. If you guys put in your church Easter pick and ChatGPT roasted you, you should put that in the comments on our Facebook post with this podcast episode. It'd be pretty funny for us to see all that. But that was not just for fun, even though it was fun. It's a good transition into the main thing we're going to talk about today, which is our new sermon series. AI is taking over the world. Everybody lives on social media. Nothing is secret. As a matter of fact, Mary Beth and I were having a conversation about what was going on in a group chat conversation that Matt and I are in, just about all the drama on social media, people like tagging each other and make it stuff that would be normally, hey, let's talk about this in private. Now it's just like, let me just show this to everybody.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, though. We've all seen it, whether you're from Live Oak, Lake City, Branford, some other community. Like, there's always the local drama that fleshes itself out on social media, and everybody's dialed into it. Like, this is the stuff Netflix shows.
You, like, go to the comments.
Like, like, this is why we have reality shows of, like, Honey Boo Boo and stuff, of, like, you know, these just small town characters who are just...
I don't think I've heard Honey Boo Boo in, like, 10 years.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that I could spit that out.
I was just like, wow. Man.
But it's small town energy, right? And it's like everybody's locked in. What's going to happen next? Oh, this is great because we know these people.
That's why I just be dropping the popcorn gifts in the comments.
Yeah.
Waiting on the next one.
Oh, yeah.
But the truth is that all of this reality, whether it be AI or social media, the combination of the two, it feels like a different world. So the next series that we're going to be going into this, well, actually, when you listen to this podcast, we'll just finish the first message, but we're calling the series At Followers, and it's all about Christians engaging with culture online. How do we behave online, essentially? And At Followers is kind of cool because, you know, if Jesus was talking with us, you know, he might at followers us. Also, it's kind of funny because everybody hates when you at follow, at highlight, at everyone.
Yeah.
Just want you guys to do that. If that ever happens on the church page, something's burning down. If we do that on the church page, just to get everybody's attention.
I have to confess, I do it sometimes on the kids volunteer page.
Yeah.
Because I need everyone to see it. It's a group. It is a Facebook group. It's different.
That's not me. Just one group is better. Page is even a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you're doing that junk on your personal page, come on now.
Yeah.
Screams influencer energy. My 400.
Wait, what did you say?
My 400
Influencer energy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's phenomenal.
It just screams like I'm trying to be an influencer. You know, like I have 460 followers, so I'm going to make sure all of them, you know, see this story that I've.
Is there anything more cringeworthy than people who are trying to be an influencer on social media?
This is really like a social media world, right? We're talking about a social media world. The reality is, no matter what generation you belong to, you are all in the digital world. Mm-hmm. You know, like we talk about all the time. Some of the most active users of Facebook, and I know Facebook is not popularized with the younger generations, but some of the most active people I know are what we would say senior adults, older people. Like they're constantly posting, they're constantly sharing.
Bro, I kid you not. As you're saying this, I pull up Facebook on the iPad, and the first thing I see is an older friend who used to coach me in football years ago, older guy, probably in his 70s. Apparently, my man is now on a dating app, and he accidentally uploaded a picture of one of the girls he's trying to message on his Facebook story.
No.
So this is cringe for us, right? My point is social media, the digital age is non-biased. Like there is nobody who is not touched by or affected by the digital world. And so I love the idea of this series. I love because it's the play on Jesus's followers were referred to as disciples. You know, a lot of people would say today, I'm a follower of Jesus. So you have that kind of play on words. But you have our social media world where this is a real thing where you can @ followers, and everybody who's one of your followers will get a notification that, hey, so-and-so has posted a new story or a new post or whatever. But it's this idea that we all live in this world, whether we like it or not, whether we complain about it or not, whether we agree with it or not, we are all involved in some way, shape, or form, and we're all influenced by. We talk about, you know, AI and artificial intelligence. It's kind of taking the world by storm now because you have ChatGPT and these publicly accessible domains, right? Where anybody now with a smartphone can access ChatGPT. But the reality is this has been around for a long time.
Oh, it has.
It has impacted your life for a long time.
Yeah.
Siri is AI. How long has Siri been with your iPhone? How long has
tap on your Alexa devices?
How long have algorithms been targeting you with specific ads?
Well, so really algorithms are AI.
Yeah.
Algorithms are essentially AI. So let's talk about this. So let's talk about that, I should say. I'm 40 years old. Matt, you are...
I would have never guessed that.
Shut up. You are...
32.
Mary Beth, you are...
35.
Okay, so here's why I bring this up. I never had an iPhone until I was married. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I was out of high school. I was probably 19 or 20.
What about you?
Freshman in college.
I did not get internet in my home until I was in 7th or 8th grade.
About the same. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know specifically, probably like 3rd grade. I remember, you know, DSL where you could hear it dialing up. They called it dial up, right?
Yeah.
And like I would play games on the computer or whatever. And it would take 30 minutes to load one game because you had to wait for it to dial.
Yeah, I can remember
Napster.
Yeah.
That was...
Yes, and LimeWire.
Oh, easy. This is a PG rated podcast.
Be burning a CD for this girl that, hey, I just made you a CD. You want to listen to that?
Yeah.
I just got 1,000 viruses on my computer.
Right?
On my parents' computer, but I got the latest songs.
Talking to friends online in middle school.
Chat rooms.
What was your good
AIM message?
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
AIM.
It was an AIM.
And then MySpace.
MySpace.
Was
we were at MSN Messenger.
MSN. MSN.
Yeah, I never did any of that.
Like that's
by the way, looking back, like that was wild because like this person logs on and I'm, hey, how are you? What's up?
Yeah,
you know,
I don't. I guess that's who you are.
What ASG? No, AS. Age, sex,
location.
Yeah, something like that. But like, for real quick, we gotta touch this. How wild was MySpace making you public?
Gosh, yeah, your friends.
Yeah. By the way,
did you see she just dropped her number 8 in her free group?
They got into an argument because she went down the list. Yeah. He went down the list.
So I partly bring that up because it was in varying degrees, a learning curve for us. I actually remember the first time really using internet was at my aunt and uncle's house when they would get the AOL CDs in the mail that you would have.
I was just saying, wasn't it on a CD?
Yeah.
Internet was on a CD.
That's
you had to put
before
your...
me.
Yeah, it was wild. And then today to where we're at, and that is why I'm a little sympathetic toward, those who didn't grow up in this at all. Like I didn't have an iPhone until I was married, didn't have internet till middle school. Yeah, there were people who had grandkids before they were ever introduced to the internet. And, and then to see how far we've come, right? Like Matt said, how wild was it that you just hop into a chat room and like, tell me your age, tell me your sex, tell me your location, where are you at, how, you're just talking to strangers. And now your parents are like, look, you can't don't talk with strangers online. Don't believe everything that you see online.
Yeah.
Your parents telling you that. And now I'm having to go to my dad and be like, Dad, quit arguing with strangers
online.
Hey, Dad, that's not a real post. That's AI generated online. Don't believe everything you read online.
One of my favorites is like, there's this, publicly shared thing. It's got like 5,000 comments or whatever. But sometimes you're friends with someone and it'll show you, hey, so-and-so commented on this. And I'm like, I don't think that you want people to know that you commented on that because I can see exactly what you commented. And like, I'm not sure that you really want that publicized. And yet here we are. We can all see it, But so this is what's crazy.
But there was a time like where net privacy is a big deal now because privacy wasn't a big deal early on because we didn't know what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when like the scandals broke when all of these right-wing super conservative senators, congressmen, people started, okay, here's what they're liking on Twitter because everybody can see your likes on Twitter. And it's like,
now, did you know?
Now.
Well, but on Instagram, you can see what reels your friends like now.
Really? No, I didn't know that. Twitter made it private after it just caused so much, craziness.
I think what's crazy about this space is really a couple things. But number one is nobody took a class on etiquette, on digital space etiquette, right? And so that's one of the things in this series is at followers is, okay, as followers of Jesus, there is no compartmentalization to your life.
Yeah.
So who you are in real life is who you are on the computer screen, the tablet, the phone, whatever, right? Like that's kind of the overarching goal of this series is, hey, you are still a follower of Jesus regardless of what space you find yourself in, right? And yet some of the issues that we see, some of the things that we see play out in this digital space is no one took a class. No one told you, hey, do this if you don't want people to see your comments, like change this setting, privacy, whatever. And so in some ways, everything has become public information. And I think that's where
a lot of the internet, it's on the
public. I mean, think about how many things we've seen on the news where, hey, so-and-so is now getting canceled today for something they posted 12 years ago.
I feel like that has slowed down just a little bit, but there was a season where that was like hot.
The point being like who you were 12 years ago now has implications because that stuff never dies.
Right.
That stuff never goes away. And you got somebody probably in a basement somewhere like, hey, as far back as I can go to, and they're probably paid by politicians and whoever else trying to smear and slander and all that stuff. But
I mean, I find you're talking about how everything's out there and it's available. Was talking to somebody about all the Easter like ChatGPT roast me, and they were like, I bet there's some little, happy guy working for the Chinese government over there. So happy they get all these updated pictures of the families of Americans. It's like, I'm not sure ChatGPT is owned by the Chinese, but
yeah. But okay, so that's a great point too. There's also this skepticism.
Yeah.
Right? Like
and misinformation.
This exactly. Skepticism that comes from misinformation. I mean, think about the 2016 election. It was Russian election interference and both sides were talking about it and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's
no, people were like, well, what does that mean even? Well, how do you interfere with that?
But
disinformation.
Yeah.
And how does this stuff happen? Well, it happens because this is a real page. No, it's not. It's a fake page run by a real person for specific purposes.
So I will give you what seems like the most innocuous example of this, but I saw it last night. Last night, a friend, we both like the Braves, go Braves, posted a picture off of a Braves Facebook fan account page, just a general Braves fan. And it was the catcher for the Braves, Sean Murphy, and his wife, upon hearing that this infant was abandoned at the local fire department, came and are going to care for the infant and, adopt it till they're 18 years, something like that, and it was like pictures, whatever. It's fake. It's 100% fake. And you go to the comment section, and for every 5 comments, 4 of them are like, man, that's awesome. This is why I love the Braves. Great guy. And then one person's like, this is fake. AI generated. There was the same post about Dabo Sweeney doing this last week. Yeah. But I think for a lot of people, they're like, well, why would that be fake? Because it doesn't ever cross their mind. Why would somebody, what does somebody
gain from that?
Gain out of that? Here's what they gain out of that. Every time you like it, share it, comment it, that page gains monetary value. So anything they think you're going to like that they can market at you that gets engagement, it gains monetary value. And at some point, here's what's going to happen. That page will transfer from a Braves fan page. It will be sold. They'll change the name. They'll change all the history. And all of a sudden, you're liking a page that you've never seen before. But now you're liking it, and they're giving you they're putting their stuff in front of.
So I want to settle here real quick. And I don't want to spoil the series because I think we're going to have a lot of fun in this series. I think it's going to be extremely relevant. But I also don't want us, there's a reason why we wanted to do this, because we feel like it is very important for us to be able to navigate this world. Since nobody took a class, can we as the church inform this digital space with some type of handles built on the truth, these principles for how we govern ourselves, how we have this etiquette online or whatever that still allows us to follow Jesus faithfully and all this stuff. But I think in this particular instance, right, we have to understand that there is a monetary value to this. Every click has monetary value. And here's what's happened in the digital space.
Every time you click on something, you're giving it monetary.
So two things are true about this because of that. That means that whether you've realized it or not, that you are now a product. Because
say that again.
You're a product because you have information.
You're the product.
You have information, you have a bank account, you have an email address, and so they can target you in 1,000 different ways. They can sell your information to another company that can send you ads and all these things. So you are a product. There's a monetary value to this, whether you see it or not, right? The second thing is this: because clicks matter more than anything else, truth becomes secondary. And that's what happens in the digital.
Say that one more time.
Because clicks have value, truth becomes secondary. And so this is one of the huge things that we're going to emphasize in this series is truth is the cornerstone of the revealed word of God. That it is revealed by a God whose character is true, whose essence is truth. And so one of the big things that I think, the big tensions that we face, whether we realize it or not, intentionally or unintentionally, is does truth govern what we say and what we do? Now, in the physical world, we would say absolutely, and it affects my character. And I'm a man of my word. I'm a woman of my word. And I'm a person of integrity and all this stuff. But sometimes those lines get blurred when I'm typing on a keyboard or I'm accessing something on a smartphone.
Well, what happens is that online gives people a platform that is not in any way grounded in integrity, credibility, or competence.
Yeah.
Because like you say, it's just about what can I say that gets the most attention? Not, and this is the way I put it before. I think we've even said it on the podcast before. If somebody said the things that we see on TikTok or whatever in the context of our local communities, instead of going around saying, hey, did you see this video? We'd be sitting around saying, you remember that dude's an idiot. No, don't going to listen to what he says. He's an idiot, Yep.
He's the guy that nobody who knows him would ever listen to.
Right. Yeah.
But all of a sudden you look online, how's this guy got 20,000 followers?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to be a real person of any real value in that community. He can just have this platform.
That platform is totally separated from any kind of competency, credibility. Used to, you got a platform because people around you were like, this person needs to be heard.
Because of what?
Well, now
your credentials, your resume, it gave you a platform. Now it's almost like...
It's reversed now. Now somebody, especially on TikTok, I feel like they'll go viral.
Or the credentials
something.
Have changed.
Yeah. They'll
Right.
go viral for something super random, and now they have this huge following, and
now they can say what
Now they can say what they want to say, and all these people already love them or
But
think
they're
that they
viewed
love
as an
them.
expert.
Right. Just
Because I know how to do makeup. I'm now an expert.
agree with them.
Yeah, I'm an
Right.
expert in politics now because I know how to do makeup, and 50,000 people watch me for.
or they said something funny one time, and
Hey, easy. But no, I mean, seriously, how many attacks on someone to discredit them have you seen online where somebody's been like, bro, you have like 12 followers?
yeah.
You know, and okay, that's
It's become a measure. It has become
Yeah.
a measuring stick in our society, and I think some people, let me say this: we are not criticizing the digital world. Like I send
love it.
memes all the time.
Yeah.
I send hilarious TikToks or Instagram reels or whatever. Like I love it. One of the things I love about social media is I think it allows you to discover people who are very creative. It allows you to think about people who have maybe gotten noticed for musical talent just because they post videos of them singing or whatever that maybe they would have never gotten discovered.
there's no such thing as hidden talent anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
you can put it out
even
there.
to be discovered.
Yeah, you can put it
Or
out
somebody who's funny. I think about some of these like comedy pages, and these people, they literally now they may have a tour or stand-up routine or whatever. How'd they start? They started because they're funny and they made reels that were really funny, and everybody's sending it to their buddy. Hey, this is hilarious. Check it out. And now it's got 1 million views.
Yeah.
And I've created a following, and now I have a tour. It's almost this reverse engineered platform. And so we're not criticizing that at all. Like I think there's a ton of value in the digital space. We're not saying that, hey, you should all delete all your apps and don't come off, and just live in the physical world. We're saying though, but there are things that we have to maybe grab onto about how to navigate this as followers of Jesus. And that's the asterisk in this equation.
Well, then let me ask this question. And I think this is the question we're asking in the series. And so I'll point blank ask you, Matt. Does Jesus have anything to tell us about how we should conduct ourselves online?
Absolutely.
Okay, but how is that possible since Jesus lived in a pre-online world?
Okay, so this is exactly where it's at, right? And what I think I love about the series is the world we live in today is so vastly different than the world in which the Bible was written. Now, opponents of Christianity would argue, therefore, it's outdated. Therefore, there is no crossover. This world we live in is so vastly different. Therefore, you don't need the Bible. You just got to figure it out today. We have our own set of rules and principles or whatever. Now, as followers of Jesus, we understand that is different, that we would say, no, that's not true, because what is revealed in Scripture is the inspired Word of God, revealed as people were carried along by the Holy Spirit. And so, because it is rooted in truth, it transcends time. So that which was written, maybe the applications are different, but the principles are still true.
So let's double click that, right? Because principles of Scripture are timeless. The application of those principles are not, right?
Right.
And we have to take that extra step as believers in an online world in deciding how those principles are at play in our online world.
Can I give a real basic example of what we're talking about? Now, this is a well-defined principle in Scripture that is rooted in the character of God that we don't have to guess. We don't have to unpack. We don't have to read a commentary and figure it out, okay? It's in the 10 Commandments, and it's one that we've all heard and we all know. Thou shalt not lie, right? I'm going to quote it in the KJV because that's how I think all of us memorize the commandment.
To say thou on the podcast.
How about this? I'll contextualize it. You should not lie, okay? So that's a principle that's almost universal. I think it's recognized. If someone's not a Christian, I think they would say that's a good habit to have, right? You shouldn't lie. Okay, so what if we share a post that is rooted in falsehood? Is the principle then the same? Now, I'm not saying you did it intentionally, but let's say, okay, let's get real local.
What happens if you lie unintentionally? It's still work, right?
Or what if you're just trying to get at somebody on social media because you got a little, something going on?
Yeah.
They did
an at Chip that you were just playing devil's advocate to get under somebody's skin.
But I'm saying, what if you make a post about somebody, whether you tag them or not, and I know the whole subtweet, whatever. Like, I'm saying this about you, but I'm not really going to tag you. Be a man and tag me, whatever. But
wait,
just kidding. But the idea is, okay, so in this digital space, what if we try to go at somebody? We're subtweeting them or whatever. Like, what if I intentionally
to define what subtweet is for
so subtweet is like when I'm targeting you, but I'm not saying you by name, but everybody knows I'm talking about you or whatever, right? And so what if then I post something, subtweet it, it's directed at somebody for everybody to know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You know, it's this tongue-in-cheek type thing. But what if I do it in a way...
passive-aggressive posting.
Yeah. What if I do it, though, in a way that's intentionally misleading or only tells my side of the story and leaves out the other side? Is that not in the essence, in the realm of you should not lie? Mm-hmm. Because lying is deceptive. It's falsehood, right? Mm-hmm. And so my point is, one of these seems very, very black and white. The other we see almost every day.
Yeah.
And so as followers of Jesus, is one right and the other one is it's acceptable because it's so normal? Or am I held to a same standard? And hey, even though I really emotionally want to do this, like if I told the whole truth and nothing but the truth, is it going to allow me to get my point across? Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's just an example. Now, that may be oversimplified. There's emotions involved. I get all of that. But that is one, is everybody would jump and shout and say amen to the 10 Commandments. We need them in schools. We need them on the courthouses, da-da-da-da. And yet that same person may very well intentionally post something that's misleading about somebody else because, well, I'm going to get back at you or whatever. Yeah.
So, or even just sharing the fake post. That is a lie that you helped spread unintentionally. Does not make it true. You know, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It still means it's untrue. And I think, Mary Beth, you nailed it when you said that the problem is that if we like a person, then we're already going to be like predisposed to
agree with what they say.
Yeah, they get a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if we agree with what they say, then we're even predisposed to believe it's true.
Yes.
That happens all the time.
Yes.
So this first message in the series that we just talked about this past Sunday was around the idea of salt and light. And the idea is that believers are still called to be salt and light in an online world. Salt and light, to function as intended, have to be different yet fully involved with what they're affecting. So salt has to be salty, but it has to be rubbed on the meat or put in the food in order for it to be a taste enhancer or preservative. Light has to be light, but it has to be in the darkness to be effective. So I think the first principle for us looking at this past week was the idea that as believers, we are not called to retreat from the online world or to start our own Christian Facebook groups that it's only Christian people doing our thing. Not there's anything wrong with those, but the point is we're not to create this quasi-monastic Christian society.
Say that again.
Online. Quasi-monastic.
So for those who don't have a PhD listening to this, can you just unpack that? What do you mean?
We're not to online monks. Right, living in our online monasteries. We need to be involved in the real world, but yet the way we act online ought to be different than the way everybody acts online. You know, and kind of the takeaway-ish from Sunday was we're to be salt and light, not salty and lit. You know, I love one of the memes that we were sharing, you know, in the office is the picture of Jesus kind of like raising his hands like, what are y'all doing? And it says, when I told you to be the salt of the earth, not salty to everyone on the earth. But I feel like that's what we are, right? Or there was another one. What's the other one, Matt, where it says, I told you you're not being salt and light, you're just being weird and salty.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we live as a lot of Christians. So where have you guys seen Christians do a bad job of being salt and light and being more salty and weird? And where online do you see Christians doing a good job of being salt and light?
I see it a lot.
You may take the easy one and just go ahead and throw it out there and say it. Christians in politics are salty, not salt.
Here's what I would say.
I mean, there's, I'm sure, exceptions, but by and large, the post I see from Christians, I don't care who you vote for, what policy you're proclaiming, the way most Christians treat politics online is with an un-Christ-like attitude.
Yeah, I think for me, politics in the digital space. Now, we need to understand that you are being marketed to, especially in an election year.
Yeah.
You are being marketed to. And so, believe it or not, they can target you with specific ads, and those ads are clearly going to be on one side or whatever. And I'm not here to discuss
just ads, like your TikTok feed, your Reels,
that algorithm thing fueled by AI, right? Like, they can target you with specific things. And so I think for me, I just shake my head because I mean, you see the comments play out, and a lot of times it's a public post shared by thousands of people. So it seems harmless because I don't know these people. And yet some of the people that you know, that you maybe work with, that you go to school with, that you shop in the same grocery store as, they can also see what you said. And I think it paints a picture of you, the real you, by the people who know you. You may think this is harmless, and calling this guy an idiot for believing whatever, or sharing this, or agreeing with this, or whatever. Like, you may think it's harmless because I don't know this guy and it's completely harmless. Like, everybody does it. You're an idiot for thinking that. Okay, but the person that you work with sees that so-and-so called so-and-so an idiot. That paints a picture of you.
Yeah, now they look at you differently.
I'm going to go a step further and just call it what it is, because this is the podcast. The two that drive me up the wall, and I'm saying, if you have posted these words online, you need to tell Jesus you're sorry and repent, are Democrats and libtards. That is un-Christ-like behavior. You know, calling someone Hitler and a Nazi online because they're further right than you, that is un-Christ-like behavior. And that's the stuff that we're talking about. Idiot is a kind word online compared to what I see a lot of.
Okay.
Hear me. Our church people posting.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. We all see it happen, right? For me, when I see it, I cringe, right? I cringe because, to me, the gospel is more valuable than any of those things, right? It's the greatest need of every human heart, regardless of where they align politically. And if they all of a sudden align with you, everything that you believe, they're like, oh, you know what? I was an idiot, and therefore I'm going to realign all of my politics, and they do not know Jesus. Their problem is not solved.
Right.
So we have a greater issue at hand. However, my question is, why do you think that happens?
I think,
what is it? Because here's what I know. I know when I go to Publix and Live Oak or Walmart or whatever, I know that there's people, just by sheer numbers, who don't agree politically in there. And I don't ever see a fight break out on the cereal aisle saying, you're an idiot because you voted for fill in the blank. So in the physical world space, we don't see this, and yet it's become so normal in this digital space.
A little bit, because I do think you see this in the physical real world more than you would have a generation ago.
Yeah. But not as much as the digital space.
And again, this is where we are. You know, this is the podcast. We're going to talk about things specifically. People wearing MAGA hats or Trump shirts because the man has been a genius merchandising his political campaign, has made it apparent, I'm not just a Trump fan, I'm a Trump follower, right? And because of that, there are other people who will say something in a store, you know, and then it goes, or anti-Trump. Right? Saying that somebody will see that and say something in a store. So I think that does happen. I think the reason it happens in those physical contexts are because as the world has shrunk with the advent of online, it has also made it easier for us to huddle up with people who look like us, think like us, and act like us.
Yeah.
So we don't know how to be around people who don't look like us, think like us, act like us. And your algorithms know that, and so they feed you people who look like you, think like you, talk like you, or the polar opposite, because they know that it's those two that you're most likely to react to. People you completely agree with or people you completely disagree with. And so I think it's that lack of knowing how to talk with people that we could find middle ground with, but we choose not to. We just don't have those interactions anymore that make, you know, these conflicts in real life more frequent. The reason they're far more frequent online is because you can't get punched in the mouth through a keyboard.
You can't.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of it. And that's the funny answer, even though it's still very true. The other is that it's tough to remember a person's humanity when you're just looking at their avatar.
Yeah.
When you're looking at somebody face to face, I don't care
They're not
how
real.
big a boy you are, how big a boy they are. If you are the freaking Hulk and they are 75 pounds soaking wet, if you are looking at them, your brain will create an empathetic response to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and you don't, if you say something rude to somebody online, it's so different than saying something rude to somebody in person because you don't see their reaction. You don't see the emotion on their face.
There's a thing called nonverbal communication, and look it up.
Yeah.
Science, psychology, data tells us most communication is nonverbal, and you lose that in the digital world. Like you lose that in the digital space. You don't see, okay, it's not just their reaction. It's that person, and all of a sudden, I know that person. Now, I know that person's granny in the store.
Right.
And I saw the look on her face of horror. So now that's a check and a balance for me of like, oh, crap, I just offended somebody that I actually care about in the event of offending someone I don't care about.
Right.
You lose that in the digital world.
So one of the digital world things that's very hot right now is Love on the Spectrum on Netflix. It's everywhere. Reels are everywhere. TikTok's everywhere. It's just essentially people with autism, Down syndrome, certain different, mental states and disabilities that are dating. And it's just a documentary. And some of these, bro, I'm telling you, there's a dude on there named Connor, and I've not even watched an episode. This is all social media. He is Sheldon in real life. There's a clip on there, man. I hope this does not get our podcast an explicit rating. I don't think it will. There's his mom is driving him somewhere and she's chewing him out, and she goes, you are the fruit of my loins. And he stops and goes, no, I'm the fruit of dad's loins. I'm the fruit of your womb. And then sips his coffee. It's like, and then he goes, respect the semantics. And I was like, oh my God. But the reason I bring that up is because if you've ever had friends who were autistic or Down syndrome, you know how much they struggle with nonverbal communication and why that is so, and they understand how important that is. They know they're missing stuff when they don't see that. Yeah. And that's why they're so careful sometimes to say something because they don't know how it's going to be interpreted or read. And so essentially, we all have that disability online. We can't read that online. We can't read those nonverbal communications. We don't interpret the social cues. We don't understand. There's not a sarcasm font.
No. Well, it's why I send so many emojis and exclamation points when I'm texting.
Don't you think that's why they made emojis?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It gives you a picture of
the tone,
the word.
Yeah.
Because you talk about like, you can't hear the tone in a text message, and that's why it can be taken wrongly or whatever.
All right, I want somebody to do this challenge. Listener, do this challenge. They said go 1 week without using an exclamation point in a text or an email and watch people freak out around you.
See how many friends you have.
I've seen that.
Have you seen that? Are you okay?
Yeah.
What did you go? Are you all right? Are you upset? Did something happen? Just because you don't use an exclamation point.
Right.
Because an exclamation point does not mean emphasis anymore. It means excitement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Like your voice goes
Let's
up.
talk about
because we have adopted rules for the digital space. And the rules are, if you don't put a period, you're mad. If you go at
rule, shoot.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know
I'm
that.
just saying like in certain generations, right? Or you don't use punctuation. Let's just say that.
If it's dot, I know if you leave ... on the end, you're saying, I want to say more, but I'm not.
Right.
So, oh, no. I do it as a pause.
Yeah, you're pausing because you want to say more, but you're not.
It depends on the trajectory of the conversation.
And then you say...
Yeah, I was like, I'm not done. Oh.
Okay.
Like,
I had a guy
dot.
Yes, but no, but I'm just joking, but am I ...
Yeah.
Okay, or this is one we can all agree on. One word response. Right? Something's wrong.
Please do not send me K as a response.
Does that make you mad? Does it freak you out?
It freaks me out.
Because something's wrong, right?
Yes.
Like, what did I do to offend you? Like, why are you not talking?
Yes.
So there's K, O-K-A-Y, OK, letters O and K, and then K.
I'm an O, letter O, K.
Okay.
Not the whole word.
Oh, come on. That was gold. I just said K. I didn't see it. It didn't matter.
Because it's in person.
Yeah. And you saw it.
And it's in person.
So, though.
A K and then a period.
we have created these rules for the digital space, right? Like you have to use punctuation or something's wrong. You can't just go K because that's unacceptable.
Dot one time.
Oh.
Yeah. And so what we're saying is I'm communicating with you, but I'm telling you more than what I'm saying. Okay, so here's the whole thing in a nutshell. We can't allow whatever social media rules, digital space rules that our culture has created cannot undermine what the Bible says.
All right, so you're going to have to double click that for me.
So we have, as a culture...
For you younger generations, we used to have a mouse that you had to click twice on to get something to open.
I just double tap, right? So my point is, and I would even say this isn't universal, this is generational, right? But generations have created expectations. We may call them rules, but expectations for even how you communicate in the digital space.
Societal norm.
Right? So it's this unwritten rule. You just learn it. You learn it by conversing with other people. And that's why I think it's generational, because a lot of people in the older generations, they're like, okay, and they're not mad at all. That's just like, hey, I didn't grow up with a phone in my pocket, you know? And so you have to interpret that differently.
Right.
Versus
word.
Yeah, because it depends on who's texting me on it.
But someone my age knows that I can say more than what I'm saying in how I respond to this. You know?
Yeah, if your grandma texts back K.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. If somebody leaves you on red, what does that mean?
If they leave me on red, that means they read it and they're not responding to me.
They intentionally chose not to respond. Right. And now that can be I'm telling you something by leaving you on red.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we say it all the time, hey, left on red, or ghost. You ghost somebody. What does that mean? You just straight up abandon. I don't return anything. I don't text you. I just, on a whim, just, no, that's gone. Right. These are terms that have originated in the digital space.
Gotcha.
And yet they have etiquettes surrounding them. They have expectations, rules surrounding them. And I think when it comes to social media posts on how I treat people who disagree with me, how I treat somebody who shares something that's in a different camp than me, that disagrees with what I view, whether it's politically, religiously, or whatever, right? So I have the freedom to call you whatever I want to call you, because the realm of expectation is this is okay behavior. Because as a society, we have created this realm and we've said, this is okay in this space. What we are saying in this series is, at followers, Jesus's expectations for his followers are not indicated by cultural norms.
Yeah.
They are rooted in biblical revelation that has come in essence from the heartbeat and the character of God. This is who I am. This is my revealed word. So at followers is, we need to understand that the Bible transcends cultural norms. Just because society says this is okay in the digital space, for a follower of Jesus, you are held to a different standard. And when there is a conflict, which one do I side with? That's really the tension.
Yeah.
I think for me, the way I would say it is this, is that the Bible contains societal norms, such as when Jesus on the cross looks at Mary and says, woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you do
There's context.
you're getting slapped. That's a societal norm. The principles of Scripture transcend societal norms, but must be filtered through modern societal norms for us to properly apply them.
Yes.
And I think that is really, again, like you said, what this series is all about. How, just because it's acceptable online doesn't mean it's acceptable by Jesus, and
Well, this is kind of a silly, analogy.
Hold on. Can I insert some humor here? But if you don't share and like this post,
you won't be blessed.
Right.
then Jesus isn't going to bless you.
Who's going
Right.
to win, Jesus or the devil?
Yeah.
Share for Jesus, like for the devil, right? Like,
Well, I just kind of thought about growing up, and I would be complaining to my mom, like, oh, but so-and-so, they get to do this. They can do this at their house. And she's like, they don't live here. You can't do this in our house.
Yeah, that's 100% the case.
So I would say this for the series, though, just to paint the picture in case maybe you miss week 1 or you're still trying to wrap your head around okay, I kind of get it, but I don't, is I would really say the heartbeat of this series is we want to help people see clearly. We want people to know and to have their eyes open to, because I think for a lot of people, this isn't necessarily intentional. it's just kind of like, it's been so normal. Nobody took a class on it. And so I'm just kind of like figuring out on the fly, and I'm, how do you learn? Monkey see, monkey do. And so we just want to like open eyes to the reality that even though it feels like it's not reality, this is still reality.
It is.
It's a virtual reality, but it impacts physical reality.
It's not feels disconnected.
It's real. It's just different.
Yeah.
So here's the way that I'm just picturing all this in my head as we're talking about it and the world that we're in right now. Okay. Big Bang Theory, funny show, Sheldon, one of the most iconic characters of all time. Sheldon is loving and Sheldon is a jerk, and he's blunt and he doesn't read social cues and all this. But the reason that he's able to function is because he has a group of people around him who love him and who care for him and who teach him through this. But essentially, those people don't really exist online right now because we're all learning this.
Yeah.
So really, we're all a bunch of Sheldons in the room trying to communicate with each other and wondering why we're all getting mad. And I think that's just kind of where we're at. But the point for the podcast, the point for this series, the point of last week's message and going forward is that Jesus does speak to these things. And if you're not aware that Jesus speaks to how we treat others online, how we post and comment, what we like, what we share, if we are not aware of those, then when we read the scriptures, we're going to miss them.
Yeah.
We have to be looking for them in order to see them. And so that's why I'm excited to dig into the series and to go a little bit further. Because I think it's going to be helpful. Hopefully we're going to have some more podcasts, even talking a little bit about what this looks like. Matt and I are having some fun conversations about Chat GPT, and even in one of our meetings, Mary Beth, you weren't in there the other day, but they were talking about, well, AI is going to, get smarter than all of us. And then at what point does AI start pushing us to what it wants it to do? And I'm telling you, I heard that this is my favorite quote. AI is not going to take over the world. People who use AI well are going to take over the world. And you got to learn how to do it. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get Chat GPT to roast my friends. That's where I'm at.
I'm just saying, everybody was in the Easter picture. And then I was like, hey, I have a bunch of friends who have probably really embarrassing Facebook profile pictures from 10 years ago. They don't even know we're on there.
Oh, no.
I want to upload that and say, hey, roast this profile picture. You can have some fun in the group chat with that.
Yeah, you could. That's interesting. I like it. So any final words before we wind down?
No, I just think I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to be able to have some fun with this series. It's going to be in some ways very lighthearted. We're going to be able to laugh, hopefully, at ourselves, because there's a lot of looking in the mirror when it comes to the digital world, and because we all use it, we're all impacted by it, so we can't escape it. At some point, this has to be relevant for us. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun, but I think it's also going to be eye-opening, and hopefully, by the end of this, it will make us, I hate to use the word, but better followers of Jesus, or more equipped to follow Jesus in a digital world.
And that's good. More equipped. Yes, in a digital world. That's good. Mary Beth, any final deep words of insight and wisdom that you would like to share with us right now in this moment? All right. Well, I'm glad you guys tuned in. Hope you'll join us back next week as we keep these conversations about faith and life going. And I'll just say this, if you have not picked up an in-person print copy of Impact Tomorrow, make sure you do that at one of your locations this Sunday. And as always, you can get as many online copies as you want from the website. We're throwing out PDFs, making it rain all day, baby. So you go find you a PDF version. But until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk About That. We hope it encouraged and challenged you as we continue to grow on this journey of faith and embrace community together. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us through our social media channels or visit our website to stay connected. Your support is what makes this podcast impactful. If you found today's discussion meaningful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share the episode with a friend, and leave a review. Your engagement helps us spread the message and connect with others who can be encouraged through these conversations. Until next time, we hope this episode inspired you to live out your faith this week. Keep the conversations alive and remember we're all on this journey together.